morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. My name is Michelle. Welcome to Michelle's Crazy Life. And today I am going to talk about the Nolan. I think his last name is West. Nolan. I can't even remember his last name. But I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. But it's about that case of the boy that drowned on 4th of July. And this is just my opinion. And, you know, I would love to hear y'all's opinion, but please, no rude comments. This is just my opinion. And I'm going by what I have seen so far. Okay, guys, this is what I see on the Nolan case. First off, I want to put my condolences out to his parents, and I hope they find out the truth. I think what they're doing is right, making sure the truth comes out, no matter what they find. Okay. Second, the first time I heard about the case, I was really, really upset because some people were making a race thing because he's black and the boys were white. Which I think is wrong. They should not have done that because you don't know what exactly happened. I've heard that some of his friends are getting death threats and everything else, which I think is wrong. That's what I thought at the beginning. I still think that now. Sorry if I'm pausing too much. I'm just gathering my thoughts. And then after I listened to it, some of the things that was being said did not make no sense. Like, when they last saw Nolan, his friends, it was at 3 o'clock, but they didn't leave the island until 4:30. And that they had told on Nolan that they had to leave because they were taking on water. And Nolan said he wanted to stay behind. He's 18 years old. Personally, you can't force your friend to come back with you. If he says you want to stay behind, that's just like if you go to a bar with a friend and your friends start talking to this guy and they didn't want to leave, but you wanted to leave. There's a lot of people end up leaving because they have to go work the next day or something, even though they didn't want to. As for him leaving his phone on the boat, they were in water. I don't know how deep the water is. I've never been there. But they were in water, and I could see them leaving their phones on the boat if they're going to go into the water, because where would they put the phones at if they didn't? And his phone wasn't the only phone left on that boat. This other guy said his friend Jahan, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. He's off the J. Giovanni or something like that. He also left his phone on the boat next to Nolan's. But he went back and got his phone Now, if he knew Nolan was staying behind, he could have got Nolan's phone too, or Nolan could have went back and got his phone himself. He's 18. He's considered an adult. He's not a child. He's considered an adult. And yes, I found it weird that they didn't take the phone to the parents right away and said, tell them that Nolan wanted to stay behind because he met this girl Katie and he left his phone on the boat. Here is his phone. I mean, that's what I would have done. So I find that very weird that they didn't find the phone until the parents was looking for the phone. I do find that very weird. After the GPS came out of what happened, it did show that they called and said, it confirmed what the boys were saying. They called, they left around 4:30, and they needed help to get back. Okay? But it doesn't say what time he called. So maybe after they saw Nolan at 3 o'clock, I don't know. And Nolan says, well, we're not, you know, I don't want to, I'm going to stay behind. I'll catch another boat, which other people say that happens all the time. So that's nothing, if that happens all the time, then that's nothing people going to be worried about. Okay? And that, lost my thought there a second, sorry. I do that a lot. And if they if they called right after they talked to Nolan, and it might have taken them that long to get there before they could pick them up, that explains why there was a big gap between from the time they saw Nolan last to the time they left the island. Then the other witnesses said that they last saw him was at 4 p.m. And everybody's telling sort of the same story, but not quite the same story. Now, one thing I'm for sure that it can't, I don't think it's a race thing. If it was, it had nothing to do with his friends that came with him on the boat. Now, Giovanni, or what, I'm sorry if I can't, I'm just going to say his name, Jay, also said that Nolan got on one boat, he got on another. Okay? Which sounds like to me that these boats were together. I was also heard that two boats showed up at the same time and they were next to each other. So if two boats came together and one boat had to leave due to leakage and the boy didn't want it, Nolan did not want to go home, wanted to stay and talk to Katie, that he would think he would catch the second boat that came with them. That's what my opinion is. My question is this. They got the GPS from the boat Nolan was on. But where's the GPS of the second boat that was with them? Where is that? Why aren't they checking that out? To see what time they left. Um, then people are sitting here saying that when they called and they said that they asked if everybody's okay on the boat. Is everybody careful on the boat? They said yes. Well, if Nolan says he's going to stay back and he was on the island and he was not supposed to be on the boat when he went back, yes, they're going to say yes, everybody's careful on the boat because everybody that was going back was counted for. Some people say that they did that on purpose, that it don't make any sense, and I don't know. I just think too many people might be focusing on the people that he came with and not focusing on the second boat, because I really haven't heard much about the second boat. But I've heard people say there was a second boat that came with them. Plus, they said that they found his body where the other boat was at. But they said that they believed his body was put there. So did the boat that had the leak and stuff, did it show that boat went back there that morning? I don't know, because I'm not exactly sure who owns the boat. One minute I was saying it was somebody else that owned the boat. Next minute I heard it was one of the guy's brothers that owns the boat. So I'm not sure about that. And I don't think where would they, unless they hide it somewhere on the island, hiding somewhere on the island, and they come back and put him there, make it look like he came out of the water. Where did he put, and I think did that, where did they put him on the boat when they came and got a tow? I do question, I get a little confused on this one. They said when they found him, they identified him with his teeth records, but he wasn't in the water that long. So if he was in the water at all, he wasn't in the water that long. I don't think he would have so much damage to him that they can't identify him by looking at him. They have to use his teeth records. I don't know anything about the criminal justice and all, but then I also heard that the parents identified him. So which is it? Did they get identify him by his teeth, or did the parents identify him? I feel that's a contradiction right there. I'm not saying he drowned. I'm not saying he wasn't harmed. I don't know. What I'm saying is everybody is focused on the boys that he came with and not other people that was around the island. And the second boat, not, you know, they're not focusing on other things. They're just focusing on these three boys. And let's see, like that one guy, I think his name's Trayvon or something like that. he gets on there and he's talking and he's sitting there saying that they're getting death threats, that, I don't know, we're all heartbroken, we don't know why people are believing that they did something to him, that they would never do nothing to him. And but he said he was his best friend. Well, his parents came out and said they don't know him. They have never met him. That he never came to their house. And in my opinion, if you're best friends with someone, you'll be around their house. That's my belief. They could have been friends, but I don't think he was his best friend. I don't think they were that close. Because if they were, they would have met. He would have came around the house. People questions that these 3 boys automatically got a lawyer. Well, one of the boys, a mother, is a judge. She knows the rules. She knows what to do. And most likely, she told all 3 boys to get a lawyer. And that's what they did. Which I think is a smart thing. And maybe they're not talking out in the media because their lawyer told them not to. But as long as they're talking to the police and stuff, that's all that matters. Not that they're talking to people. You all don't matter. The police matter. The case matters. They don't need to go on the news and talk about it. Okay? So making a big deal out of that, I think, is wrong. And then there's the thing of his picture of him being in the pool. I don't know if that's true or not, because I heard that was on July 4th. But for what I'm hearing from Nolan's parents, is they knew he was going to the island. So in my opinion, if they knew he was going to the island, wouldn't he have told them that there's going to be a pool party that night and he was going there too? I mean, it's just my opinion, my thoughts. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Plus, they had the 360 on his phone, so they could see where it's located. Now, the parents did say that they believe some things were deleted off of his Snapchat. I don't know if that's the case, but if it is the case, how do you know these 3 boys did it? Nolan could have done it himself before he got off the boat. Or the boy that had the phone next to him could have done it. You don't know who done it. All I know is a young man that had a bright future is now not here. I have 4 kids, and I feel for the parents. Yes, they want to know exactly what happened. It doesn't make sense. And I agree, it doesn't. And I think they are doing the right thing, getting a second opinion on the autopsy, getting a second opinion on what they find on the phone. I do think they're doing the right thing. Okay? So, I also seen a picture of another boat. It looked like it said Little Daddy or something like that on the boat. And no, you can't see the guy's face, but he was black and he was bending over like he was getting something out of a cooler or something, and he had the same kind of bathing suit on as Nolan. So there is a great possibility that could have been him. I don't know. I know they're checking in on it. But I want people to stop making everything into a race thing. I do not see color. I see the crime that's being done. And I go by evidence. Okay? Yes, there's a lot of things that don't make sense. Because people are coming forward, they're coming on news and telling their story, and their stories are always changing. And they need to talk to the police and let the police know. They don't need to be talking to the news, because all that's doing is confusing a lot of people. Talk to the police. Okay? You think you're coming out to the news is not going to make you look guilty, but if you say something and it turns out to be wrong, it's going to make it look like you're hiding something. So talk to the police. Get a lawyer if you need to before you talk to them. But talk to the police. Don't go on the news and tell your story and make up lies and send death threats to people, because that's wrong. If it turned out to be an accident, I am so sorry about the accident, and I feel for the parents. If it turned out that one of his friends did it, or someone else on that island did it, they need to be punished for it. They need to see the consequences. And I don't care if their mother's a judge, their father's a lawyer. I don't care. I don't care if they have money or they came from a poor background. I don't care if they were white, Chinese, or black, or Mexican. If they did the crime, they need to be punished for it. Well, guys, that's my opinion on the Nolan case. And, you know, I would love to hear your opinion, but I do not want any rude comments. I don't want to have criticism on my comments, because I will remove those comments. We're all adults. Act like adults. Stop hiding behind the internet and thinking, oh, I can sit there and criticize somebody or whatever. Stop. I am 55 years old and I'm not playing those games. Well, if you like content like this, because I do give my opinions once in a while, You haven't already subscribed, please do so. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.